We continue now at the top of Daf Vav. I'm in Beis in Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 6b. The Gemara just quoted the Brisa. The Brisa said a whole list of things that are considered Zuhi Rishos HaYachid. These are considered Rishos HaYachid. And the Gemara said, what do you mean these are Rishos HaYachid? The Gemara said, well, Rabbi Yehuda had an additional case. So we're excluding Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said if you have a Rishos HaRabim and there are two houses, one on each side of the Rishos HaRabim, that in-between area has the status of a Rishos HaYachid on a Doraisa level. And he continues over here, Lechi Mikan v'Lechi Mikan, Okora Mikan v'Kora Mikan. The person can just put either a post on each side or put a beam on each side between connecting the two houses, so that they're considered just Leheker Bialma, just as a recognition that this is its own area. V'Nosei V'Nosen Bemsen, it can be considered a full Rishos HaYachid. Now really you don't need the post next to the houses on each side. You don't really need the beams on a Doraisa level. The two walls of the houses alone make the area Rishos HaYachid, but those just serve as a recognition of like a wall on each additional side, as if it's surrounded by four walls, and then we say you can carry inside there. In any case, though, you see Rabbi Yehuda holds that you only need two walls midoraisa to create Rishos HaYachid, and the whole point of the Brisa was to exclude that position. Amru lo, they said to him, Ein ma'arvin Rishos HaRabim bekach. You can't make an erev in Rishos HaRabim in this fashion, in the fashion you just suggested. Va'amai karu le gemura. Now, why does the Brisa call it Rishos HaYachid or Rishos HaYachid gemura? So ma'u detema, because I might have thought kipligi Rabbanan led Rabbi Yehuda to lo have Rishos HaYachid hani milu letaltel. I might have thought that the Rabbanan actually only argue with Rabbi Yehuda, saying you can't carry in this area. Aval module, but they might say that if you would throw into this area, let's say a person would throw from a Rishos HaRabim into this area between the two houses, they might admit that you're chayiv in such a case. They're just saying they don't want a leniency that you can carry, kamash malan, that you're not chayiv in such a case. They hold this is not a Rishos HaYachid at all. Only these cases are considered to be Rishos HaYachid. Gemara continues now at the two dots. Amar Mar, the master said again, this is a quote from the previous Brisa, Zuhi Rishos HaRabim, L'me'ute mai. It says that these cases are Rishos HaRabim. What does that exclude? L'me'ute idach Rabbi Yehuda. So that also excludes Rabbi Yehuda. There's another position that Rabbi Yehuda says that the Brisa is going against. The Tanan we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Im haisa derech Rishos HaRabim mefaskason yisal kenel itzdadin. If the Rishos HaRabim is cutting through this area, then you have to move the Rishos HaRabim away, otherwise it turns the area into Rishos HaRabim. The Chacham say you don't even need to. That's not considered Rishos HaRabim. Let's see the case here in Rashi. Mefaskason lefasei biros. The case here is pasei biros. The parak beis de Erevin, in the second parak of Erevin. The Hekilu Chacham Misham Ole Regalim Bebor B'Rishos HaRabim V'Habor Atzma Rishos HaYachid Shehi Amuka Yud V'Rach V'Dal. The case is you have, let's say, a pit. The Ole Regalim used to travel up from wherever they lived to Yerushalayim when the Regel came, when the Yomim Tovim came, so they would want to fill up the water from the pits that were along the road. So now the pit has the status of a Rishos HaYachid. It's got the dimensions of a Rishos HaYachid. Now, if a person's going to fill up water and basically carry the water from inside to outside, he's going to be chayiv for carrying from Rishos HaYachid to Rishos HaRabim. Veikilu chachamim lasos daled pasin uvenein yud amos to have a chalol Rishos HaYachid lamalos min habor. They made a special leniency. You make these four kind of L-shaped pasin, L-shaped boards that you put around the corner. So you're basically making four corners around the pit, and that makes the entire area around the pit Rishos HaYachid, and you can now fill water from the pit. So Rabbi Yehuda there has a sheet in that case that if the road cuts through the four corners that are surrounding the pit, you have to move the road away. Because his position is that the Ravim can come and be mevatel these walls that have been made around the well. So basically, according to Rabbi Yehuda, this area in between the corners around the well is considered Rishos HaRabim, and our Bryce is meant to exclude that. Rashi just finishes off. Ahasam Ramina de Rabbi Yehuda ad Rabbi Yehuda de Lael Damar Nosei v'Nosein be'emtza de Loas HaRabim umevalin mechitzas Rabbanan ad Rabbanan Mashanin. We just had a Rabbi Yehuda before who seemed to say that you have a street that cuts through with two houses and it's considered to be a Rishos HaYachid. What happened to the idea that the Rabbim come and mevatel mechitzah? The Gemara over there asked the question, and the Gemara discussed it. But in any case, Rabbi Yehuda says it's a Rishos HaRabim. The Chachamim say it's not, and that's the position of the Brisa, like the Chachamim. Gemara says, "V'mai karle Gemura." Again, the same question. Why do you call it a Rishos HaRabim Gemura? Now here Rashi explains you can't give the same answer as before. taking a quick look at Rashi, you can't say the same thing as before, that maybe I would have thought it's only for moving purposes and not for throwing into it. Because over here, the whole point is you're making these pasei biros corners in order to carry. And the Rabbanan are saying you don't need to move away the road because it's considered Rishus HaYachid. They're establishing the leniency. So it's obvious that if you would throw from Rishus Hashanah into this area, you'd be chayiv. So that can't be what it means Rishus Hashanah Gemura. So what does it mean when it says that this is Rishus Hashanah to exclude some other case? This is a Rishus Hashanah Gemura. So the Gemara says, I did the Tana Reisha Gemura, Tana Nami Sefer Gemura. You're right. There's no real reason to say Gemura here. Since we had reason to say it in the Reisha, we just repeat the same language just for the balance of the brisa, that the structure should be the same. But otherwise, there's no real reason to say the word Gemura. But in any case, the reason why we say these are Rishus Hashanah is to exclude the case of Pasei Biros, which is not a Rishus Hashanah according to Rabbanan. Balachshov Nami Midbar. The Gemara asks, why not count a Midbar as a Rishus Hashanah? Dahatanya, because we learned in a brisa, Ezuhi Rishus Hashanah, Misrati Uplati Gadol Mavos Hamafulashin Veha Midbar. This brisa includes the wilderness as Rishus Hashanah. Amar Abai says, Lokash, it's not difficult. Kan Bizman Sheyisrael Shuruyin B'Midbar. Here it's talking about where Klal Yisrael was living in the midbar, so then it becomes a Rishus Hashanah because you have the population. Kan Bizman Hazeh, but in nowadays when people don't live in a midbar, that would not be considered a Rishus Hashanah. The Gemara continues at the two dots. Amar Mar, the master said, Hotzi v'hechnes b'shogeg chayev chatas b'mezid anish kares v'niskal. So it said that if you carry from the Rishus Hashanah to Rishus HaYachid, shogeg, you have to bring a chatas, and if it's b'mezid, then you can get kares or you can get skila. So the Gemara asks, b'shogeg chayev chatas pshitas, in an obvious you get a chatas for shogeg. The Gemara says, b'mezid anish kares v'niskal, it's trichla. You're right, that is obvious. The chiddush is that you get kares and skila for doing it b'mezid. Hanami pshita, the Gemara says that's also obvious. Hakamash malon kidirav. No, the Gemara says it teaches us Rav's chiddush. To Amar Rav matzasi Megillah Storim Bei Rebbe. Rav said that I found a Megillah Storim in the house of Rebbe, Bei Rebbe Chia rather. I found the Megillah Storim in the house of Rebbe Chia, and it said as follows. Isi ben Yehuda Omer, that Isi ben Yehuda says, Avos malachas mem chaser achas, ve'eno chayiv alachas. So it said that there are 39 malachas and you only chayiv one. So what does that mean? Is that really true? V'atanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Avos malachas mem chaser achas. The Mishnah says explicitly there are 39 Avos malachas. V'avinon ba minyan olam. And the Gemara there asks, why do we have to have the number 39? Because we can just count whatever the list is. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Shemasan kulan behelam echad. It's to teach us that if you do all 39 malachas and one forgetting, chayiv al kalachas v'achas. You're chayiv on every single malacha. So you see very clearly, you're not chayiv only one. You're chayiv 39. They're considered separate avos, separate averos. Ela ema eno chayiv al achas mehen. So rather, it must be that this Megillah Starim that was found. And we'll see Rashi about that in a minute, what this Megillah Starim was. But it must be that in this Megillah Starim, it means that there's one malacha that you're not chayiv on. And the whole chiddush of telling us that you're chayiv skila or kares for carrying is to tell us that carrying is not the one. We have no doubt that on that one you're chayiv. That cannot be the one being referred to in this Megillah Starim. Rashi explains what Megillah Starim is. Megillah Starim shestirua mimnei shelo nitna lichtov. This was a Megillah. It was a document that was hidden away because it was really not supposed to be written down. If people will hear these individual opinions that were not really taught in the Beis Medrash, then we don't want people to hear these new ideas that we don't really hold like. And they wrote them down so that when they used to hear Divrei Yachid that was some individual had a chiddush that wasn't ever taught before, they would write them down. They wrote it down so it shouldn't be forgotten. But they would hide away the Megillah. So this was like it was an opinion that was just a Das Yachid. So they would write it down in order it shouldn't be forgotten, but they would hide away this Megillah. In any case, the whole reason why we list off over here the Chayev Skila and Kares is to tell you that carrying is certainly not in any doubt that it should be what the Megillah Starim was talking about, that you're not Chayev if you carry. No, on the contrary, you are Chayev, not only a Chatas, but you're Chayev Kares and Skila if you do it on purpose. Gemara continues at the two dots. Amar Mar, the Brisa said, Aval Yom Ubika Ve'Stavnis VaKarmelis Einon Lo Kirshus HaYachid V'Lo Kirshus HaRab. So it listed off places that are basically a Carmelis. you have you have a sea, or you have a valley, or you have again these platform areas where the merchants sat, or a Carmelist, it's not considered like Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara asks, "Ubika eina lo Rosh Hashanah v'lo Rosh Hashanah." Is it really true that a valley is neither a Rosh Hashanah or a Rosh Hashanah? V'atzanan, but we learned in the Mishnah, "Habika b'yamos hachama Rosh Hashanah l'Shabbos or Rosh Hashanah l'Tumah." So a valley in the summertime. The summertime is when people will walk through it, so then it's considered a Rosh Hashanah as far as Shabbos is concerned. But as far as Tumah is concerned, it's considered a Rosh Hashanah. The halach is by Tumah, so Rosh Hashanah, if you're in Rosh Hashanah, the suffix Tumah is Tahor. If you're in Rosh Hashanah, suffix Tumah is Tameh. And that's all learned out from Sota. We basically learn out it has to be a Makom Stira, a place that's hidden away. So the point is that in the summertime, the Bika is not considered hidden away. It's considered a Rosh Hashanah when it comes to Tumah, and therefore any suffix of Tumah is going to be considered Tahor in such a situation. But the Mishnah says explicitly the valley, as far as Shabbos is concerned, it's considered a regular Rosh Hashanah. B'mos HaGeshamim in the rainy season, Rosh Hashanah l'kan l'kan. It's always considered Rosh Hashanah, whether for Tumah or Shabbos, because people don't walk through there. It actually is considered an area of stira. It's considered a hidden area, and therefore it's considered Rosh Hashanah as far as Tumah, and suffix Tumah would be Tameh. But in any case, it says explicitly in this Mishnah that a Bika is considered Rosh Hashanah as far as Shabbos. Amar Ula, so Ula answers Li'olam Karmelis Have. Really, it is a Karmelis. V'amai Kari La Rosh Hashanah. And why is it called Rosh Hashanah? Lefi she'ein Rosh Hashanah. It's because it's not a Rosh Hashanah. It doesn't really mean Rosh Hashanah. It just means it's not a Rosh Hashanah, but really it is a Karmelis. And then, so that's the answer of Ula. The Gemara is going to say that's a little bit of a dochik answer. Rav Ashi says, and Rav Ashi on the next Amud on Daf Zayin Amud Aleph is going to answer this question of the Mishnah of whether a Bika is considered a Rosh Hashanah or it's considered a Karmelis.